There's always so much to talk about in the wrestling world, and I can't do it all on my own. So for that, we have to bring in our CBS local sports wrestling correspondent, Chuck Carroll. Hey, how's it going, Chuck?
It's going very well. How's it going down there?
It's going well so far, but we got to get some answers today because, Chuck, starting with the WWE in a conference call with investors this week, CEO Vince McMahon said, we're not going to do blood and guts and things of that nature, such as is being done on perhaps a new competitor. We're just not going to go back to that gory crap that we've graduated from. It's more sophisticated product. So two-part question here, really. Is it a surprise that the WWE is standing strong in its plan to remain a PG product with the recent ratings troubles? And then to add to that, it seems like there's a statement about all the elite wrestling. Is that something that will separate these two companies?
All right, so here's the thing. One, you got to love Vince McMahon for just straight shooting on this. But two, they will stay PG because that's important, especially with the advertisers who they've attracted, their sponsors now. They're all kind of family oriented, so they can't go too far back to where they were during the Attitude Era, where it was that blood, that guts, that over-sexualization kind of product. But the interesting thing was he also said that they were going to be slightly edgier, and they've already started to do that in recent weeks. And coincidentally, also in recent weeks, we have seen a slight uptick in ratings. Now, is the fact that they've changed creative already, is that the reason that we've seen that uptake? I'm not ready to say that yet, but I don't think it's going to hurt in the long run. As far as All Elite Wrestling, I mean, that was a straight shot across the bow. Are you kidding me? At All Elite Wrestling's initial pay-per-view, that match between two former WWE superstars, Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, known better as Goldust. I mean, Goldust, Dustin Rhodes was a bloody mess, and you just don't see that in today's wrestling. So it's an alternative there. People think that violence doesn't have a place anymore, so that's what Vince is saying. And he also went so far as to say that the new network that AEW is going to be on, if he's them, he wouldn't put up with it.
And Chuck, that really leads us into our second question here, I guess third question now. Rating for Raw and SmackDown, they're both down more than 10%. They've hired some familiar names for wrestling fans, Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff as executive producers. How much control do you see them having, or could it lead to any real major changes in the product?
Well, this is one of the bombshells that came out of the call yesterday. And so an investor actually asked Vince McMahon what his plans were, because to this day, Vince is the overseer of everything that goes on camera. If he doesn't like it, it's not going on air. Vince has total creative control. But what he said was it's time for him to step out of the weeds. It's time for him to relinquish some of that control. And he said that both Bischoff and Heyman were going to have, quote, wide latitude as far as what they're going to do creatively. Now, how much is he going to still have his hand in that cookie jar remains to be seen. He is Vince McMahon after all, but he won't have as much time to get dirty with the creative as he has, because remember, he still has the XFL, that new football league. Well, the rebirth of the XFL coming, and he's got a lot of planning to do with that. So he's 70 years old, and how can you balance two full-time jobs like that? He's got to give something up there, and so that's why he's turning it over to Bischoff and to Heyman. Long term, how long do they have that wide latitude? That's as good of a guess as anybody. Nobody knows.
Well, lots of valuable input. Thanks as always for joining us today, Chuck. And you can always check out this full article on CBSLocal.com. Katie Johnston for CBS Local Sports.